we have a really great opportunity tonight. Evan has agreed to come in and share some details with some of you that he is thinking about partnering with in business. Actually, there's a few folks plugging in live from all over the country, from what I understand, as well as a few folks in the room that are trying to earn that spot for partnership. Before we do get started, please pull out your cell phone, take a look at it, make sure it's on mute, silent, vibrate, whatever you want to call it, or even off. And help me welcome up Evan Grubb.
All right, yeah. Wow, whistle too. Thank you guys. Good to see everybody. I should have set this up ahead of time, but let's get it. Fine. Everyone have a good day. In the sunshine, definitely enjoying just waiting for warm weather. So, you guys, though, I am going to run through specifically look for right because those who are plugging in and seeing the details have actually this is their second information. So we're going to get a little more in different. What's a county? I'm a broke college student. Instead of going to medical school, just decided to be a business owner, and for us, a little bit later than if I was a physician, but shorter than if I worked 100 hours. It's definitely a nice alternative to being gone all day from my life, right? And so, and I was looking at it, it was to make extra money. That's how it started. Now, I was at a crossroads. I was kind of losing the interest of the medical field, and I just didn't know. My whole life was built around that. So I didn't know what else I was going to do, and a friend of mine introduced me to some of the business coaches and mentors of this team, and it really changed everything for us. So that's kind of how I saw the opportunity. Now, everyone comes in a different spot. We work with people of all different backgrounds, all different professions. Some have no education, others have a lot of education. But everyone is really looking for, I would say, some similarity. They want a better opportunity. And, if it's just extra income or some, creating a long-term asset that develops a lifestyle, everyone's in a different spot. And so tonight, as we get into specifics and details, those who are plugging in live and then those who work with locally, I really want to cover it from a little bit of a different angle as we go through it. You're going to see the same slides, but we're going to touch on it as you're starting your business, kind of more of a specific detail to, and we're probably going to run through it pretty quick. So I think you guys will track pretty well, but like I said, get in more of specific detail around what's going to be helpful for you guys. I was just thinking earlier, though, of just some transitions. This time of year, my wife and I, we want to grill. Anyone like to grill? Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many guys are just ready for spring to really come and start grilling outside? Yeah. When it's like 40 degrees, you're like, 45, maybe 50 for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's usually the time for us. So because we're not there yet, my wife has been, she's a great cook and baker. And so she just loves being in the kitchen. It kind of helps her just kind of decompress and enjoy just some time around with the kids. So she's been teaching our kids how to cook different meals. She used to teach me years ago, right? And she just realized I wasn't teachable. So she started teaching our kids. And we have 3 of them. I'll show you a quick picture of our family, but I think you guys have all seen this. Our oldest is 11, and he enjoys cooking. And so he's been making some special dishes. Start with something simple. And how many guys have seen, remember, which is kind of odd, and she was going to teach our kids from it, but then the title is Cooking with Poo. And so it just didn't really fit what we felt would be tasty. Yeah, so some of you guys got that. My kids thought that was the funniest thing when I said that, so they just ran with it for like 20 minutes. It was like, yeah, you guys understand potty humor is the lowest form of humor, and that's usually what encompasses our family's humor. But it's sad because when you have 3 kids, that all around that level. So anyway, but yeah, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna have some fun as we get into some information, some details. You know, I really do feel like one of the biggest benefits of working within a training and leadership system, a mentorship-based business, is actual mentorship. You know, having people who've had results and success. Now, for a lot of the opportunity for me, just the mentorship was within a training program that we have. Maybe someone doesn't have direct access to an individual, but they have access to information. And what most people don't have is information that they can, you know, that they can continue to receive and then apply. And what our business team offers is a plethora of information in order for people to go create whatever level of success they want. So what I believe you need to think on first is, what is it you actually want? Most of you guys, like myself, coming out of college, I was working 40, 50, or 60 hours a week, whatever. And I knew that wasn't forever, because I was building this business, and within a couple of years replaced a full-time income and gave us opportunity. You know, but at the time I was like, do people really do this the rest of their lives? Is this what the next 40 to 50 years of most people's lives look like? And unfortunately, that's the case. Now, I get some of you guys might not be in Cube City or behind a computer, and I understand you might be working with your hands, you might be outdoors, you might be a mechanic, or whatever it is that you do. It might be different, but if you have to do it, it might be something you enjoy. But when it becomes a job, usually you'll lose the joy from it. And so what I found here is just a vehicle that could help us accomplish what we really wanted out of life, and it just was there quicker. And I didn't know that there was another way. I didn't realize that until I had business coaches and mentors challenge me with some questions that helped me understand there was a different way, a different path. And so for us, that was, you know, how it started for me was Nick, and I had mentioned to you guys in the past that, you know, he's the one that really started to challenge me with different way of thinking and looking at things. And, you know, he asked questions like, not, hey, what do you want to do the rest of your life for a living? He says, how do you want to live? You know, start with, you know, they call it reverse engineering. How do you want your life to look? Take 2 or 3 or 4 years from now, what type of lifestyle do you want to have? Now, it's going to take work to create that, but what vehicle can create the lifestyle? We call it the perfect 10. How would you, if every day you could choose how your life looked, what would it include? Would you get up early, or would you sleep in? Right? If you're in my family, we'd sleep in. And I'm a late night guy, a late morning kind of guy. Now, some of you guys, you're an early morning person. I respect that. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But I understand that some people are like that. Is anyone like that here? Like when they choose? I knew there was always a few. No way. There's more than I expected. That's crazy. I'm just not that person. I'm not an early morning guy. And so, you know, but what would you do if you got up early or slept in? How would your day look? What would it start with? You know, for me, it would be getting up and then taking a nap. That's usually, yeah, I know it sounds funny, but I got up this morning. It was like 8:30. I got out of bed. It was just like, nope, too early. And so I made sure the kids were good. They had a few things they needed. And then I just went back to bed. And then that's just how my day started. And that's how I like my day to start, right? And then I do a little bit of reading, and then I just kind of like think about, okay, how's my day going to look? And I have most of my day already planned out, because I've learned early on that those who are successful in life usually have a plan for the day. And so, but I just know myself. It starts a little bit later. But the perfect 10 lifestyle, you know, for me today, I got up and I saw it was going to be 42 degrees, but it was sunny. I was like, I could stand that. If it was like 20, I've been like, let's fly somewhere where it's warmer, right? How would your life look? Some of our business coaches and mentors, what they do is they take a private airplane. They've paid for this service that they say, you know what, within about 30, 40 minutes, they have an airplane at the airport that they drive to, and they get on their private airplane and they just fly wherever they want to go for that day. And whether you want, if you enjoy golfing or you enjoy sports or whatever it is that you want to do that day, again, how would it look for you? So when you start thinking about it, you reverse engineer, okay, what type of income do I need? Where do I want to live? How is that day going to look? And so you have to start creating now what you want then. And so for me, I just didn't have any other vehicle because every option that was presented to me required our time to make money. When you're working for someone else or you're working for yourself, you're working to make money, right? My dad has owned his own company for 35 plus years. And I love my dad. He's one of the best, our hardest workers I've met. And he just, here's the thing, he's in his mid 60s now. He's going to be, wow, here in a few days, he's going to be 67. I don't know, right around there. I'm looking at some people like, you should know. How is my dad right now? He's going to be like mid to late 60s now. And I'm thinking, my goodness, if he doesn't work tomorrow, he doesn't make money tomorrow. And for over a decade now, what we put into our business, now, I'm not going to lie to you, we put in hard work and effort. But in a couple of years, what we did then, we get paid off of today. What's the last job that you had before the one you currently work? Do they still pay you? I mean, unless you sue them for something. No, they don't, right? You have to keep putting in time to make money. And so you have to be there. It's based on your effort. And I heard it called the X factor. If you X yourself out of the picture, how long could you sustain in your life financially? How long could you maintain your current lifestyle? And for some people, that's a week because that's when they get paid next. That's 2 weeks or a month. And so some of what made a difference for us is our business mentors taught us, hey, live below your means, put money in the bank, pay off your debt, and then start putting a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year's worth of income in the bank. So if something ever happened, now you have options. And then build your income to a point where it continues to come in, whether you're thinking about it or not. You know, I got an email on Monday and said, hey, we deposited money into your bank account. I was like, sweet. I got several of those emails throughout this course of the month. And that was income we established years and years ago. And so what we want to do in our business here is coach and teach and mentor people on how to create an asset that pays you forever. And so you're going to have to move to the passive side of this quadrant here. And if you're going to invest money, let's be honest, it's going to take a lot of capital. It's going to take a lot of investment. Now, how some people do it, they take and borrow other people's money in order to invest it, and then they give a percentage back. And if someone's willing to give 8 to 10% back, it's better than most portfolios that people can create on their own. And so they're willing to take that risk and invest money. And so maybe you want to invest in real estate, or people aren't going to take the risk and have you invest in stocks for them unless that's what you do for a living. But if it's going to require a large amount of capital, then it requires other people to be involved. And so, but let's just talk about the return. An average return is up, let's say 7% right now, most portfolios. I don't know for your income, for you to live off of, but the average household is $55,000. I know for some of you guys that's way too low. For others, that's a little bit more. But regardless, let's just use that number, 55,000, and you take 7%. I'm not that quick at math. We could do 10%, it'd be 550. But let's just use 55,000? 1, 2, 3, divided by 0.07. You'd have to have invested $785,000 before, and in a consistent, ongoing source of income with a 7% return. Now I get, okay, you could probably do that, but in your current rate of savings, how quickly are you going to get to $785,000 and not spend it and not use it somewhere else, right? They say the average American doesn't even have $1,000 in their bank account. And so how quickly are they saving $785,000 and make $55,000 a year? Now our family can't live off of that. There was a time where we could and had to, but it's just our current lifestyle, we definitely couldn't. And so it'd have to definitely be double to triple that before we just maintain the lifestyle we have. 1.5 million, right? How quickly are you able to invest that amount? So we're not talking about investments, because the challenge there is it takes a lot of capital and a lot of time with very little return early on. And so what we're going to focus on is as a business owner working within a system. You could buy a franchise, which is take a big investment up front again, and it's not as big of a risk because you have a system that's been duplicated thousands of times already, normally if you buy in a bigger franchise, but it takes a bigger investment. What we've done is we've just leveraged the network marketing industry. Now, here's what I've realized. Over the years, I did not know this when I was 21 years old, starting working with this business team. I just didn't know this. I wasn't familiar with network marketing, but when they started describing it, I heard of things because my mom was involved with 2 or 3 examples of this. So, she had a cell phone or like a landline service company. They're no longer in business because cell phones obviously took over that. How many of you guys have a landline at home? Seriously? There's 2 people that have a landline. That's I didn't realize that. Okay, that's pretty good. They still have them out there apparently. Usually you have to be 70 or older to still have a landline. You probably live in a home that you have someone who is older, but so that's the case is, that's what's in network marketing. She sold a service that hooked people up with a landline. Obviously, that's outdated today. And then they tried to do some cell phone stuff, but it just didn't work out. And then she had worked with someone who sold products door to door. And they used the same distribution that we use today. I was a little kid, I didn't even know about it. And she's just like, I can't do this. I'm getting so much rejection. And my dad at the time was not supportive or positive about the idea. And so, but that was her mentality of network marketing. And that's all I had seen. One was a service that had closed their doors and that broke, thank you for grabbing that. That closed their doors because we're going to be on this page for a long time. Because they weren't involved in that industry any longer. Locally, I was talking with some business owners who were utilized and still do a energy service supply company, but New York pushed them out of the gas side of it and they can only offer electric now. They lost about $30,000 of income overnight because they hitched their wagon to the wrong horse, the wrong vehicle. Does that make sense? Do you follow me? And so for me, what we recognize is the network marketing industry can be volatile, and also it can be a high pressure, high sale, big recruiting style market. And so what we have learned is we leverage that industry because you gotta understand, it's the fastest growing industry. It's how most people are making a decent secondary and third income and replacing their primary. You understand, it's the fastest growing industry, so we just had to learn how to take advantage of it. But what we do is just a different approach. We've recognized that companies that are extremely successful, we provide a mentorship and leadership-based business model around the industry. And so you might know people who post, how many of you guys have seen friends and family? They post something on Facebook and they say, hey, look at this thing I put on my belly and I lost, 3 inches. And you're just like, as soon as you drink some water, buddy, it's going to come back. It's just, those are things that go through my mind. Or, hey, check out all these products that I used and look how great I look. Or look at the face and how different it is. Just whatever, the product-based business. Now, in order to make money in any industry, a product or service has to be purchased. True? And so it's no different here. We just have understood and learned that in order to create long-term capital, long-term income, cash flow that pays you year after year, it's really going to be based around a mentorship leadership program. And so that's what we have seen. And you guys understand the economics of distribution. We've taken advantage of those shifts. We've described that enough that I think you guys understand it. When you understand, though, when an item moves through different hands, money and profit has to be made. The fewer hands that can move through, the more profit that's available. And all we're doing is capturing those dollars. That's the simplicity of it. It's not complicated. And so they've been doing that for 60 plus years. They just have taken advantage of different shifts over the years of the marketplace. So 3 components. Very simple business model. I love the simplicity of it because when you have an education and a training system, you don't need one individual coach and mentor. Now, is it helpful? Yes. But what I learned from our business mentors, many of them, there's a few of them, they didn't have one person that guided and every step of the way, they had a group of people that provided tools and information so they could gain the knowledge that they need, and they just applied what they learned, and they were smart enough to think for themselves as business owners and create the results and success that they wanted. And really, just the determination, their motivation to accomplish what they wanted for the family, and they constantly looked at the X factor. Well, if something happened to me, how's my wife going to be taken care of? How's my family going to be taken care of? And so they just kept looking at it and said, what do I need to set up? And they utilize a training system and a distribution that allowed them to create income as they own their own business. Now, you guys have seen and experienced and had the benefit of utilizing our tools and literature. The more you utilize it as a business owner, I think the more appreciation you're going to have for the training and education. And I think appreciation really leads to somebody implementing things that they learn and understand so that they get the results that they want. Education alone does not guarantee success. It correlates to success. How many of you guys know people who have a 4, 6, or 8-year degree and they're not any more successfully financially than you? Is that the case? I see there's so many people coming out of college, but they're working at McDonald's. And I'm not putting down McDonald's workers, but let's just say a minimum wage position that they could have got without spending $30, $50, $60, $80,000 for their education. Does that make sense? As a lot of business associates we've worked with within this team, they decided not to go to college, and because they applied what they knew from just learning from this business, they applied out in the traditional business world. They were able to make a 6-figure income by the time they're in their early to mid 20s. And they didn't spend $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year in education. And so it's not about the information that you receive. It's how you apply it. And for me, what I've realized, it's really about the connections that you have that create the opportunities in life. I've seen it done this way. I've seen it this way, that most people, if they move from one position to a way better opportunity, it's usually because of connection, not just because of their experience alone. It's usually someone they know. And that's probably why you've seen this opportunity, because of a connection, someone you know who recognizes the benefit of a leadership mentorship program. Again, leadership conferences, getting access to individuals who've created success and have all different backgrounds that you may relate to some over others, but the benefit is they all started at just like you and I, with no business experience, with no understanding of how to be successful here. And some of them built it pretty quick. Others took some time. Mobile platforms where the information is at your fingertips. And we've gone through some of the backgrounds of the different individuals, so we're not going to take the time there. But I want you to recognize that when they saw this opportunity, they were just like you. They didn't have any understanding of what it's going to take to succeed. They had a system. They had the same vehicle. They just chose to apply things a little bit quicker and not get distracted in other areas of life. And so because it's easy to do, and whether it's self-imposed or not, it's just they decided to eliminate those distractions to stay focused on the goals. And now their lifestyle is pretty extreme, to the point where most of them, they own several homes, not just 1 or 2. They've been retired since in their 20s or 30s. And now you look at retirement of not doing anything with your time, but they're actually very focused with helping more and more people succeed. And they just choose when they do that. They choose how their day looks. You know, as I meet them and get to know many of them, they pay cash for their vehicles. They pay cash for the trips they go on. They're completely debt-free, and they have 6 figures in the bank. And that's impressive to me, because most people in their 20s and 30s, they don't ever expect to reach that level of just financial success. And every single one of these guys that we've been able to get to know and their families, it's just impressed me what they've accomplished and the results that they've gained just because of the same vehicle that you and I have. So that's our training through LTD. Leadership Team Development formed up a decade ago out of a need for a better training system, who had been working with the team previous to that just wasn't willing to kind of grow into the 21st century and create better platforms for people to have information and education at their fingertips. Our supplier through the Amway Corporation provides access to partnerships. Now, Amway's been around a long time. When I was a kid, my mom had sold products door to door with them. I've never done that. You know, we've seen a lot of different people use their distribution differently. And so, but what we have always appreciated is the connections and access that they provide for us as business owners. Why do we use Amway and we partner with them and contract with them as our distributor? Now, by the way, you don't have to earn a position to be a business owner with Amway. For $65, you get your license and insurance, and you can launch your business. But I had to earn the mentorship and coaching of our leaders in order to get the results that I wanted out of my business. And so I don't want you to think that you have to earn a partnership with Amway. Not at all. They're just a distribution. They want you to buy stuff from them and they want you to sell stuff, but it's how you go about it. So we contract with the Amway Corporation in order to leverage their partnerships and compensation program. That's the simplicity of that partnership. Now we give access to some great things, Best Buy, Starbucks, and whether we have partnerships or not, their 450 exclusive products would create all the income that's really necessary or that you would want to create. You know, we make hundreds of dollars a year off their partnership. We make tens of thousands of dollars a year off of their exclusive lines. Does that make sense? I haven't really added up how much we make off their partnerships, but it's probably only hundreds over a year. But exclusives, oh yeah, it's tens of thousands. And so for me, I'm thankful for the exclusive lines because they do the distribution, the manufacturing for us, so we don't have to. They take care of all the FDA regulations and the packaging details, which there's a lot that goes into it. We sent a package the other day to a family member, and they were several states away, and it was $55. The package was just a standard size package. We sent a few basic items. And I was like, man, this is $55. And we had when our order comes in for things that we use throughout the course of the month, there are several packages. Some of them are pretty heavy. And they charge me $10. Right? And so you understand, they take care of all that back end stuff. They find the people who are going to deliver the products to us. And the guy that delivers it to us, he knows where to place it and when we're going to be home and what's a good time. And he actually brings it in the house for us. Like, there are so many added benefits. I mean, there's other packages I've got out that not from the Amway Corporation that people are like, they're kicking it up our driveway. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're playing soccer with it. If you guys watch Ace Ventura, it's like having fun with it. Okay, so you guys remember that. That dates me, apparently. Some of you guys are too young to know that movie. But just access to those companies and product lines. And then the third component is you. And we're not going to spend a ton of time here because we've covered through this. And I mentioned I was going to run through this pretty quick. But as a business owner, how much do you want to make? It's going to take some focus. It's not a get rich quick. If it takes a year, great. If it takes 5, okay. If it takes 10, seriously, in the next 5 to 10 years, what are you going to do with your time, a few hours every single week, in order to create some long-term income and cash flow? I mean, take your age right now and add 10 years. All right, let's say the median age of the group right now is 30 years old, right? People like Jeff may bring it up to 30, then people like Cole bring it down to the 20s, So no, Cole, I'm sorry. People like Maya bring it down. You're like, wait. I'm trying to think who the youngest one here is. It probably, it'd definitely be Mariah. Okay, so, let's just say the average age is 30, though. At 40 years old, does an extra $60,000 a year make a difference? And okay, so you're not retired. Maybe you're not even debt-free yet. But are you further ahead than the average American? And if the average income is $55,000, you already replaced that. Well, add the other $80,000 or $100,000 a year that you're making from your job. And let's just say that's not what you're making now, but here's what I've learned in the next decade. When you apply what you learn with our training system, you create more income. Okay, just let me ask you, those who work with our business team, just a handful of you, those who've been with us for a few years, do you make more money today than you did 3-4 years ago? Mm-hmm. Because you've applied what you've learned? I'm looking around the room, I'm like, yep. There's a lot of people in their jobs make more money because they applied what they learned, and all of a sudden now because they're willing to step outside their comfort zone, their employer says, oh, there's more potential. I've seen you apply that and you can have more results and success and you can help us. Well, that's a distraction for some people, but if you apply it to your business, you can create financial independence. And so, but let's just take 10 years. It shouldn't take you 10 years. But if it did, and it's an extra $60,000 a year, now in 10 years, you could be like the Larry Winters and make 1.2 million. Okay, that's fine. You could do that. But let's just say it's 60 grand. How many people today are creating that level of difference in their life financially? Now, let's just talk about the expected time frame once you develop consistency in your business. And consistency could be today, it could be a year from now or 2 years from now. It's about 12 to 18 months of focused effort, consistent energy and focus into your business. Next 12 to 18 months, develop a foundation where you're making $50,000, $60,000 a year. And so what kind of difference does that make in your family? And you guys understand this. It starts with you, and it's the example that you have of transitioning where you purchase. What we talk about, what was an expense is now an income. It's an asset. It starts to pay you. And then identifying some people who also buy things and they can get it from you versus someone else. And you know, we were just doing a little bit of training on this the other night with a few different people. And, you know, the question was, you know, how do I best help new people that we're partnered with to develop customer volume? Because we're not holding parties. It's not a house-to-house, party-to-party style business. But their friends and family buy these items. So we just say, hey, help them make their friends and family aware of what they have access to professionally. You know, for me, when I first got started, I was like, hey, Mom, I'm not sure if you're aware, but the company that I work with gives us access to these other companies and these items. What do you currently buy that you would be willing to support my business with now? And she started, you know what she started with? Cleaning supplies. That's what she started with. And she's like, wow, these are phenomenal. I'm actually saving money. And then she went to the skincare. Actually, she took vitamins and supplements. My wife at the time, my girlfriend, was not supportive of the business concept because of how I described it. I was brand new. I was young and immature. It was that, you know, that little excitement that just tried to kind of spew all over her information. And she, after she wiped herself off, she's just like, I don't think I'm interested. Okay, fine. Apparently I didn't present it correctly. And the rest of my family had the same reaction because of how I presented it. It just wasn't professional. And so what we've learned is coaching people in that presentation and that understanding and the explanation. But what she did do is she sat down with one of our business coaches and his wife, and they said, hey, would you be open to trying some of these things? And her first purchase was about $400 worth of skincare. And 3 months later, she saw a huge difference that she had never seen in all the other product lines that she continued to try. She kept switching between all these things. And she saw a huge difference that I will never use anything else again. And that's where her belief in the items that we had helped her understand that our business is a good opportunity. That's where it started. And then my mom, after 8 months, said, why am I buying it from you? Why don't I buy it from me and make the money back myself? Oh, darn it. I lost a good customer, you know? And so she's down in Atlanta with another part of her business team. My brother, who initially said I was going to jail because he didn't think this was a legitimate opportunity. But again, it was in the 5-10 minute conversation of me trying to explain an hour to 2 hours worth of information. It was a lot of content without context, and it sounds sketchy. And so again, we've learned how to take people through the process of getting information. I just wasn't coached. I didn't take the proper coaching of how to explain things. And so what we've done is we ask people to slow down so that they can speed up and get the results that they want. And so our process is very simple. You're going to identify a few people who need some items. And what's crazy is they start referring so many people because they, oh, my friend, my neighbor, my coworker, my boss, this person, they all need this stuff. And so we just have those conversations with them. Great. Now, some people, they said, well, can I make money off of doing that as well? Yeah, sure. It's a bridge to sponsoring, starting as a customer. They can buy it through you directly, a retail website or mobile platform, but you get the profit either way. In this example, you make $120. And if you want to make $300, $400, $500 your first month, that's fine. We can show you how to do that. It just depends on what you want, what you're looking to gain from it. than what you're willing to put into it. And so from there, our business is about partnership. So we're duplicating what we started, the example that we just set. And that's our whole business model. The more partnerships, just like a franchise, the more franchises that open up, the more opportunity for business to be created, the more income that you generate. It's very simple, very basic, very straightforward. And so you kind of see the breakdown. You know, here's something that's pretty simple though. When you're at the 12% bracket, when you look at it, when you're helping those 6 individuals, 6 partners, they're at 3%. Now let's just do some math again. I'm gonna get on my calculator so I have specifics here. And I usually don't take the time to do this. But 150 times 3 is $450 worth of products. They get the retail profit. You don't get that, whether it's $50, $60, or $70. And so you just take the 3-to-1 ratio, times it by 0.09. 40, I always say 41, 42. It's 40.5. Times 6, that's $243. Now they made 120, you made 40 because of the differential in percentages. Now the whole goal is help them get to 25% for a 6% leadership bonus. They'll always make more money off their business than you do, and definitely at that level. But in this example, they're 3% with their retail, with their profit, they're gonna make 150 bucks. You make 40. Okay, you do that through 3 different businesses, plus the 12% from you and customers, you're gonna make, in this example, you're gonna make about 350 bucks. Right? Like I always say, don't quit your job. Don't stop what you're doing for income. But if you, what's $350? Most jobs are about 40 hours a week, right? And so divide that by 4, let's just do 4 weeks divided by 40. That added $2 an hour, at least $2 an hour to your income. You know how many people change jobs for an added $2 an hour? Isn't that crazy? I'm making 15 here, but they're willing to pay me 17. I'm making 20, but they're going to give me 22.
Yeah.
Right? They'll jump, and that's $350. You just gave yourself that raise. And now you've done it once, and once you help people establish their business, it's ongoing income. But I always describe it this way: our business is not linear. It's a multiplication business. Because when the more people you've partnered with, the more partnerships are starting to duplicate. If you have 9, 12, 15, 80, 100 partners, you went from 7 business partners, including you, to 31. You multiply that out, you're now at the 21% bracket, you make $1,700. That might take a few months to get, took me 18 months to get to. But $1,700. And we probably partnered that size 16 to 18 people in business to identify who we can work with at the time. And it made right at $1,750, $1,700 for us. That's $20,000 a year. Now let's start multiplying that out. Let's just say you added $1,700 to your income, and we did, let's do divided by 4 weeks. Let's do 40. You just added $10 an hour to your job. You know how many people are going to definitely change jobs for a $10 an hour raise? Raise your hand if you would change a job for a $10 an hour raise. You're like, 2, not so much. 5, I don't know. 10, oh man, yeah. 10 yesterday I'll do that, right? Because what you're doing, that's $1,600 a month. That's almost $20,000 a year. It's a big difference for a lot of people. I mean, that's the difference of what house they can live in. That's the difference. That's the difference if they get to go on vacation that year. Does that make sense? That's a lifestyle changer. And we just did that. Let's say it took you a year. You guys don't understand how many people, here's what they do. In order to get a $10 an hour raise, they go back to school for 4 years. And then they hope to get a $10 an hour raise. They just spent 30 grand hoping that maybe someone recognizes them putting in effort and time to get another piece of paper so that they can get $10 an hour more. And you know what they end up getting? Maybe 2 or 3. And more debt. And so they're further behind. And that's the unfortunate thing about our society today. You know what the biggest focus on for the educational system, what age bracket right now? Those are in their 40s. They're going back to school. in order to get their more education because they want to be able to compete with those who are in their 20s coming out of college. And so they're going back to school in order to say, hey, I'm worth that position now. Is that crazy? And so because that's the education system, I say this and I realize I don't know everyone plugging in live. Brainwashed. Now, usually washing something that's dirty is a good term, but in this example, I don't think it is. They've fed people this idea that a piece of paper that you pay for is going to earn you a larger income, which in majority of some cases, I'm sure it is, but in majority of the cases, it's not. And that's unfortunate, where as a business owner, you have the decision. You have the opportunity to create as much money as you want. And so it just continues to grow from there. You're talking $3,000 to $4,000 a month with bonus to $60,000 a year. Every month, I'll just tell you in our example, every month that we're at 7,500 points, throughout that year, it's been right at 58,500 one year, 62,000 another year, 65,000 another year, 68,000. I mean, what kind of income do you want to create? And so there's no limit, there's no cap, and then some of the rewards that come along with it. You know, we've been able to travel across the country and a little bit out of the country to some exotic locations that I never would have had the opportunity if it wasn't hanging around with this team. You know, I was remembering just the other day as we were flipping through some pictures, you know, just when we were in Jamaica and visiting some really neat locations while we were there in Jamaica and going to the Luminous Lagoon and being able to kind of experience one of the wonders of the world that just this water glows as you're swimming in it at night. You're like, I don't know if this is good. Is it toxic? Is it clean? Should I drink? Should I not drink it? They make it. They make you think like this is really healthy for you. Like every part of you is going to be stronger, bigger, better. The ladies are going to be trimmer. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just they just mess around and it's funny. But you know, I just remember some of these opportunities and. You know, this is the first time we went skydiving. It just happened to be in San Diego. First time I was in California. I realize some of you guys, you probably travel all the time. That just wasn't me. Growing up, we didn't have the resources as a family to travel. We did go to Florida once. We all piled in our station wagon. You guys remember those vehicles? Yeah. They don't really make those anymore. In our station wagon, it was the wood trim. Oh, yeah. It was styling. And we create the signs, you know, like if you can read this, you're too close. And because we were facing the people behind us, we would be the first one to see if we're going to get hit from behind, you know what I'm saying? And so we were the warning bell for the driver, like, get out of the way, you know? And so we used to scream that. It wasn't funny. But anyway, so we took a 24-hour trip to Florida as a family once. And I was like, traveling stinks, right? Where now everywhere we go, we just decide to fly because it's so much easier, quicker. And when you get there, you're not so tired that you got to sleep all day, right? And so it's just a totally different experience. How do you want to live life? And so you know, right after we took the trip to San Diego, we went to Key Biscayne because it was still in the teens here, you know, single digits, and it was cold there. It was 65. They said, "Oh, you hit us on a cold week at 65 degrees." I was still in shorts and a t-shirt, of course, because we're from New York. And my wife and I, we were laying out on the beach. And people were like in parkas walking down the beach, like, what are you guys doing? She was out on a stand-up paddleboard. That's fun. And we're just like, hey, we're from New York. This is like summer right now. This is phenomenal, you know. But we ate some of the nicest restaurants. Again, how do you want to live life? Where do you want? And it's not just about the dollars. It's about, you know, it's about having the dollars to do the things that are important to you. For us, travel isn't important to us. Creating opportunities for our families. You know, they become Duke fans because they've met Coach K personally, because we have connections with Duke through some of our business mentors who've given hundreds of thousands of dollars to the program, and not so much the program, but to some of their charities that Coach K supports and has created. And so we get some special access that very few people get. You know, and just being able to bless our family with that. We got an invite just the other day, which I unfortunately had to turn it down. It was a Mother's Day ball with Coach K and the team. And it just fell on a weekend that we're already busy. You know, but the tickets are $250 a person. It's not cheap. Then you dress up in a tux, and then you give at least $200 to $300 a person to their charity. So it ends up being a $600 to $800 dinner. It's an expensive dinner. Probably about $1,000, maybe about $1,500 if we fly. And so, you know, but how cool is it that we have connections like that where we get the email directly from the program director and says, hey, you're invited. Why? Because of the amount of money we've given to their program over the years. And because of the connection we have with the leaders that created those opportunities for us. It's like outside of this training system and the leadership that we have, we never would have had connections like that. Just opportunity. So just it's not so much the dollars we made, it's the opportunities we provided for our family. And there's no limit. There's no cap to how much you can create. Is there a cap to what you can make at work? Is it unlimited? Or do you, if you have to work more hours to make more money, you have to sell more stuff to generate more income. You have to, okay, you own the company. You have to hire more employees and manage more people in order to make less money, usually because you're paying more people. People are like, man, you know, last year, business owners, they don't realize how expensive it is to have employees. And as a traditional business owner, I've seen that firsthand. We triple and quadruple in size as a company, but we're making less profit at the end of the year. Yeah, because we just paid 11 employees. And so, benefit here, I don't have employees, not one. Well, I pay my son to do some work around the house. Okay, I gotcha. You know, he considers himself an employee at our home now because he's, you know, working to make money for stuff he wants to buy. But how cool is it that you can, you know, you can create income without the headache, without the hassle? There's no limit. There's no cap. Some of our friends and coaches and mentors in business who make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and haven't had to work for other people, you know, in their early 20s to their mid 40s now. And just the benefit of, you know, no limit and just opportunities. So that's what I want to wrap up with. I realized, you know, my intention was to go through these a little bit quicker, but also cover different aspects specifically. Because I think some of the things that get lost in translation is truly what this opportunity create. We focus on how to create it, the steps in order in a mentorship program, the expectations in a partnership. But I think sometimes what's lost is looking back at what do you really want? What are you really looking for? And whether you're just getting started and earning a partnership, or you've launched your business, or you've been in business with us for years. I'm gonna have Lucas wrap up, and what he'll do is share a little bit of his background and why him and his wife decided to partner in business with us. And we sat down and had a conversation with people that they partnered with on their team who are, you know, progressing as a whole and doing some really cool things as a team and really making stuff happen. One great month that they've had already, and they're just looking at how they're going to take that team and start to create, you know, a $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year income, and then helping other people establish that for themselves. But I wanted him to share with you some of his background as we wrap up, so that you can kind of see, as a traditional business owner, why I would choose something like this versus opening up another company, another store, another restaurant. And so just kind of seeing it from a different angle. So give him a few minutes as we wrap up. So actually, help me bring up Lucas through. There you go.
All right, guys, like Gavin said, for those of you plugging in live, those of you local, be sure to get back with whoever invited you out to kind of talk about your next steps. As far as, you know, earning a spot for mentorship. With that, you know, for those of you who have already earned a spot, Evan has agreed to do some training in the next 15 minutes, so we'll be back in here.